Welcome back into On Isles Time. It's our 10th episode, and we finally made it. Hockey season is here. The New York Islanders head to Pittsburgh tomorrow night, take on the Pittsburgh Penguins in now our new era and what should be an exciting season, for us at least, we think. That's not the sentiment we're seeing around the league, but excited to be back. Everything that we've had all summer all comes down to this. Finally, after a very long offseason, is here.
Yep, it seems like this is the moment we've just been waiting for. It was really May 5th. Number 13 ping pong ball comes up. We get the first pick, and it's just been waiting for Matthew Schaefer to make his debut. The preseason debut was pretty cool, but as we all know, it's not the same. So yeah, it's great to finally be to one day away from this moment that we've been waiting on for so long.
Right. It's just the watching a preseason game. You're excited to watch and see how everybody looks and the young guys, and doesn't hit the same as watching a regular season game. In the back of your mind, like, yeah, whatever, it doesn't count really. So now that we're here, it like you said, since May 5th, we've been waiting for this, and just the sentiment of people excited to go. I think people are juiced up again. Maybe this season doesn't end up being the greatest, but at least that it's building towards something. And Matthew Dart said yesterday with the season ticket holders that he wants the fans to have a team that they're proud of. It's a proud franchise to be able to go to the rink and watch exciting hockey. They want to play exciting hockey, and that they're want to have that good atmosphere at the arena. And it felt like it got stale the last few years, just there and with watching the team in general. But now into this new era, it's different. There's a buzz in the air, and I'm sure that on Saturday at the home opener, it's going to be really, really packed and people juiced up.
Definitely, yeah. And like you said with Darsh, he was saying he wants people to be fired up, to be proud. Goes back to when Patrick Waugh was hired and that first press conference after they fired Lane Lambert and brought in Waugh. He said he wants fans to be proud to go out and wear the Islander logo. So now we've seen the team go in a different direction. And yeah, like you said, I think Saturday is going to be really, really special for everyone there. It's going to be probably the best home opener at UBS since the first one. And who knows, maybe it'll even be better. No COVID lineup this time around.
That's true, and I think the lines are different. There's some new blood in the lineup overall. They're all, shaken up. But again, I've said it before. I don't think I've been more excited for an Islander season in a while. Just with going into this, how I feel about the team and the direction, and yeah, especially that on the home opener. That I hope people feel the same way about it, just because it feels good. But we're gonna get into it. Brendan Yerkes, Cole Healy here with you as always. We're just going to talk about the preseason and training camp. A lot went on, a lot of battles, at least so we thought, but the lineup ended up being the same 12, at least in the forward group, that we thought was going to be tougher to decide. Ended up being that, just with the line shuffled, but we know Patrick Waugh likes to move it around a lot. But a lot to cover, a lot of specific players, some injuries to report, a lot of special teams work done, just a lot happened. We're going to break it all down in this episode. All right. Should we start with Matthew Schaefer?
We might as well. I mean, I feel like you gotta topic number one. You gotta go with the first overall pick.
Well, he made the team. I mean, I don't
Yes.
think there was any doubt in that. He said, I got to earn my spot. I got to, nothing's given to me. And the team wanted him to have that mentality, which is good, the right way to look at it. But I think we all knew when he wasn't going to play in the NCAA that he was making this team. And he really did show out in the preseason. There were mistakes and rookie mistakes, like we said last time on the show. He's going to make those mistakes throughout the year, and we don't want people to jump on him, but it's going to happen. It's always like the two sides of the coin where, a lot of people don't think this team will be very good this year, and they'll be the sixth in the division. That seems to be the consensus that I'm seeing around. But then that's okay if these mistakes are going to happen. He's going to learn on the fly. And as these things happen, he will learn from them. And if not, then if not. But he's going to have a lot of chances, put up some points, hopefully. Hopefully it starts at one early, and then he can kind of progress from there. But the skating is what's going to keep him going. We know he's going to get stronger as it goes on. We know he has the hockey smarts to know what to do. So I think after making mistakes here and there, he's going to keep learning. He's got a good veteran group around him. And it's not often that the top pick is on a team this good. And not to say the Islanders are one of the best teams in the league, but usually the first overall pick goes to a team that's bottom 5 in the league, and we were bottom 10. So it's a big difference, a big gap, especially a team that was in the wild card till the end, but bottomed out with injuries. So got to let Schaefer make his mistakes. But overall in the preseason, aside from a few turnovers or mishaps, or he had an errant pass that went the other way, ended up in the back of the net because he didn't put enough on it. That's going to happen. But still, a lot to like. Moving it around in the ozone on the power play. The breakouts were good. He was skating really quick and just positionally sound too. But I just love the way he jumps up on the rush and helps keep plays alive in the offensive zone. But a lot to like. And with those rookie mistakes, it's going to be growing pains, but all good things.
Definitely. And yeah, like you said, there's gonna be these mistakes. Like, he's 18 years old, barely 18 years old, playing against grown men, playing against some of the best players in the world every night, right? So these are gonna happen. Again, like that first preseason game, he made that pass that was intercepted and then Philly scored on it. Like, you know, that's expected. And I know Patrick Waugh, this entire camp has just talked about how just the mindset that Schaefer has, where he does something, then he's like asking, "Oh, what would you like?" He's immediately asking for feedback, and that's what you want to see because he's gonna learn, and I think it's safe to say he's probably gonna learn quicker than some other rookies, right? Because we've just seen how mature he is, and like I know yesterday or 2 days ago, whenever it was, Wall was asked about what he wants or what kids should notice when watching Schaefer. He's talking about the swagger, like the confidence. Not many 18-year-olds are gonna have this much confidence coming into the league, and Schaefer's just so he's confident, but not cocky. And I think that's really going to help him. He knows what plays he should make. He's not going to hold back from making those plays because he's nervous about making a mistake. He's going to go through it and make those plays, and that confidence is going to allow him to convert on those plays more likely than not. So yes, there will be many growing pains throughout both this year and it's probably next year, the year after. Like you rarely see 18-year-old defensemen in the NHL. And you rarely see guys who turned 18 a week before training camp in the NHL. So it's a very, very unique situation for Matthew Schaefer to be in. But if anyone's gonna do it, it's him. So a lot to look forward with him. And yeah, I just can't wait to get to 7 o'clock tomorrow night.
And I know this sounds all negative. We're talking about the mistakes, but we're just addressing the reality of the situation. The positive outweighed the negative in the preseason and camp. Absolutely. But it's worth noting going in that these things are going to happen playing against NHL players. And I just want to say I don't want there to be a ton of vitriol against, Wah and Darch and everybody around the team if he struggles one game and they decide to healthy scratch him the next one and let him sit in the box and watch things and oversee things. That helps a young player. We've seen it often. He's not going to be able to go to the AHL and play somewhere else. Like this is where he's going to be this year because they're not sending him back to Erie. Because would you rather him make mistakes and learn from them and improve on them in the NHL, or would you rather him score 3 points a game as in Erie and dominating? You want to see domination, but is that really getting him better, or is him making mistakes and learning from them now as the team progresses? So then when they have more prospects come in, he's ready. So if he sits a game in the box, in the press box, and oversees things and say, "Oh, I watch the game from a different angle," that might happen a couple times. That's why you have Adam Boqvist as your seventh defenseman ready to go. That's why you have Isaiah George, who we'll talk about a little bit later, who had a tremendous camp, and that he even said he'll play on the right side too if he needs to. He's comfortable on both sides, which is going to be big for all the deep left side guys we have. So that is something that might happen. But for now, he's going to get that third pairing spot with Scott Mayfield, who's I think a good partner for him. He's more, defensive defenseman first, allows Schaefer to kind of go up on the rush. So Mayfield could sit back. They seem to, pass it with each other well in the preseason. So looking forward to that, and not too much pressure on him now. And then if he exceeds expectations, he could rise up, and if not, he could stay in that spot and continue to learn. He has as much time as he needs. The Islanders want to compete for a playoff spot this year, be in the wild card race, which again, meaningful hockey is important. So that's where you want him to be.
Definitely, yeah. I believe it was with Siplikov last year after he was suspended. The team won, I think, the first, 3 games after he was suspended. Then he talked about keeping Siplikov up there just, so he could watch the game. And I feel like there's another player that he mentioned that with. I'm not remembering who, or maybe it was another coach that was talking about it. But yeah, like having Schaefer in the press box for a game is definitely not the worst thing. And then it's also just, he played 17 games last year, right? I believe the OHL season is around 60 games, and they usually usually play like Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Like this is an 82 game season, and not just an 82 game season. 82 game season against grown men at the highest level in the world. Like you can't expect an 18-year-old. He's it's a lot for him. There's a lot to adjust. Obviously he had mono last year and then the broken collarbone, right? So he didn't get to. It wasn't necessarily his fault that he didn't play as many games, but it's been a while since he's played a full season, and he's never played a season with this many games. So yeah, I agree. Having him up in the press box, maybe once every like 7 or 8 games wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. Like obviously you want him on the ice, you want him like performing to the point where he has to stay in the lineup. Yeah, he has a bad game. I agree. I don't think it's the worst thing for him to go up in the press box because again, that's just going to contribute to his development. Again, he's going to see the game from a different spot. As you watch it, you're going over film, right? Like, yeah, you're going to be watching the game, but just watching the whole game from up top, seeing how everyone moves, noticing what other teams do, right? That's all part of it. So yeah, it's definitely going to be. I want to see how they approach this, and I trust how they're going after his development. I know Wall keeps talking about how they want to treat him the same way that they treated McKinnon in Colorado. So yeah, definitely expecting some. We know the Otter fan base. We know how they're gonna react if he gets scratched, right? So definitely expecting some upset fans on certain days based on decisions. But in the end, I think it'll be the right move. I trust both Wah and Darsh with how they choose to utilize Schaefer this year.
And we're getting ahead of ourselves by saying, I mean, I brought it up, just saying that he's going to get scratched eventually because he hasn't even played a game yet. But just, we're looking at the reality of the situation of things that might happen throughout the season. You bring up a great point about the scheduling being different, playing every day, like, well, not every day, but multiple days of the week. And it's a lot of games that he might need a day here and there if he can obviously skate very well and he's well conditioned, but if say he's banged up from the physicality of the NHL, still being a young guy, like give him a day here or there. That's why you have Adam Boqvist back there to fill in for anybody who might need it, or a back to back or something like that. Say, all right, we're going to give you the day off here. But again, ideally, nothing. If everything goes perfectly, he's going to play every game. So that's the best case. But just overseeing, like, a lot of people are expecting him to be the savior, and I think this is a good way to wrap this and put the positive spin on it, because it seems like we're expecting bad things, but we're not. But a lot of people think he's going to come in and be the savior and do all the kind of carry the offense, and everything's going to be perfect when he's on the ice. A lot of great things. Going to be an elite player and the face of this franchise for the next 15 years. But you can't expect him to put it all on his back this year. There's going to be the pains, but there's going to be a lot of good and a lot of awesome moments, and I'm looking forward to seeing his growth this year and beyond. And hopefully, leads the team to the playoffs. That would be great, and get us a taste of that action too early on in his career. But Matthew Schaefer, great camp, winning over everybody, fans. He's already sold a whole bunch of jerseys with his name on it, so expect that to continue. And hopefully he can get his first NHL goal in the early portion of the season, and then get off and running with some success.
Definitely.
All right, moving on, we're going to talk about Shabanov, the other big newcomer. So, struggles early on. Too much of the going south hockey, as has been discussed with him. Kind of like Sipakov last year, not pushing the puck up the ice, dumping it in. A lot of that soccer style regrouping and cutting back with the bigger ice in the KHL. So now adjusting to that. But I think as the preseason went on, he looked more comfortable out there. But I will say this. The thing that's important, that's getting unnoticed, like, yes, he's not scoring goals, but he's defensively sound. He's playing the game the right way. So you got to think, if he's doing that right as the foundation, because usually it's the other way. Players can go out and play really well offensively, score goals, create plays, but they're a mess and they're a disaster in their own end. He's doing the right thing by doing it the other way, where he's focusing on his defensive game, and then through that, the offense comes. And then when you get that comfort level, then you can go and show what you can do. So I think good start. He gets a goal in the last preseason game off a nice deflection from the other one of the other ones. Sipakov feeds him, and I'm excited to see what he could do. He's playing on the third line to start the year with Holmstrom and Pajot. I think it's a good place for him to be, to kind of get comfortable, play just sound hockey, and then bring his skills up from there. Maybe he gets another crack at the top six, which I'm sure he will because we know Wild loves to shuffle the lines around. So I think we should be patient with Shabanov or sorry Shabanov. I keep saying it wrong still. As we move on, I would hope as we get to December that he starts to be fully comfortable with the NHL game. So I'm giving him, I think, a little grace period there. It's probably the way to do it. But I think you'd agree that he's looked better as it's gone on. But again, same thing with Schaefer. Everybody's expecting so much right away, and he is a little bit older, but it's a different game, the NHL.
Definitely, yeah, it's a very different game compared to Russia. And yeah, like you said, he's been good. Like he hasn't been a liability. Like he doesn't stand out as you got to get this guy off the ice. Like sure, the offense hasn't been there again. Like you said, he did finally get one in that last preseason game, but he hasn't looked fully out of place. Like he's doing the right things away from the puck, and that's what you need. And there was someone on Twitter last week that was talking about how when a guy's struggling, you put him with Pajot. And yeah, like I know the Wall had him with Drouin and Horvat to start camp, which it's cool, right? Give him the opportunity. Give him the opportunity there. He does end up putting him with Pajot and Holmstrom, and I think that's a great spot for him. He kind of gets that. Pajot and Holmstrom are both strong defensive players. Obviously, Pajot more so than Holmstrom, but Holmstrom can definitely hold his own at his own end. So I think that's a good spot for Shabanov to learn in the early stages of this year. Just kind of watch him plays back on the iPad on the bench with them, right? So yeah, third line I think is the perfect spot for him to start. That's where when we had signed him, that's where I initially wanted him to be at to open the year. So and yeah, like you said, the offense is going to come, the confidence is going to come as he gets more comfortable with playing on NHL ice. And yeah, I mean, Holmstrom obviously had a really good year last year. Pajot had, I think he set a career high in assists, or maybe the second most assists he's ever had in a year. So he can still play. Holmstrom can obviously play. And then, yeah, as Shabanov gets more comfortable, or Shabanov, there we go. I'm saying
Shabanov. We're
I'll
used to
flip
saying
it around.
Shabanov until he corrected us at the preseason. So
Right. Yeah, so I think that's a good spot for him to start. Pajot is going to be helping him out a lot there. Yeah, definitely looking forward to seeing him in the regular season. Hopefully, I want to see him on the power play too on that second unit. I believe they had him on, so we'll see how much that improves. I know obviously special teams were a huge issue last year, so you'd like to see him be part of the solution to turning them around this year, and I think he will be.
well, it's already looked better. We've seen from Cal Ritchie, who we thought was going to, make this hard on the Islanders. We recorded our last episode after the first preseason game. He didn't get any action yet, but he was awesome. Power play goal, a nice assist to Emil Heineman, who also is showing out. Emil Heineman is going to be a big boost for the power play. We've seen his booming shot already. He's going to get a chance to start on the first line for the opening game against Pittsburgh, so he's going to get to play with Horvat and Drouin. So, getting that opportunity, they believe in him, and he's still young, and he's still. You don't know what he's going to be because he was traded for as like, all right, this guy's probably a bottom sixer on a winning team, but he's getting a crack at being a first line guy right now, and he's already shown to be a boost in the power play. The puck seems to be moving around quicker because that was the problem with the Islanders' power play. It was way too slow, and they didn't get the other team moving around. So now they seem to have some movement. I think Schaefer helps with that too. They're cycling in the zone, they're getting quick passes, and they're trying to find the slot guy, which I think they did successfully on that goal to Heineman in the second preseason game. That Richie passed to him, a quick one, and we've seen it happen a little bit more as well. But the special teams, even Wash said it today. He didn't put enough emphasis on that last year, and that was his own fault. He took the blame for it. He took accountability, but now putting that emphasis on it, it already looks better. There were some games, all right, that one's not great, but it's the NHL. It's special teams. You're going to have a bad power play from time to time. You're going to have an amazing one. You might not score on it. Maybe you have a bad one and you score. You never know. You just have to consistently look better. And I think so far, so good. Still early, but that regard and the penalty kill too. But the preseason's hard to judge because the New Jersey game that I could remember, they had a lot of AHL players, the Islanders, where New Jersey had basically their whole NHL team and their power play units out there. So they scored a couple. But I think, early on we're going to see, but as we progress, like most things in the season, you want to see it get better, but I already think it's going to be in a better place, which automatically will lead to more wins for this team.
Definitely, yeah. Hard to be worse than last year. Last year was just, the culmination of the past, feels like 3 or 4 years where it's just been a horrendous power play. So yeah,
Well,
definitely looking
23,
better.
24, they started the year. They were like top half.
Yeah, they were
Really, really
pretty
great. And
solid.
then all of a sudden, just like they hit January and it just went to nothing.
Yeah. But yeah, and yeah, I know. I think Barzell said it last year. Like league average special teams last year, they're probably a playoff team. So yeah, it's definitely good to see some improvement so far. Again, preseason, but just the way they look different on the power play, and that's promising. So yeah, you'd obviously you want to see that continue into the regular season once you get obviously these teams regular lineups, right? So definitely looking forward to that. Hoping Ray Bennett can work his magic with the power play. So if they again they can get to they were what 31 last year, and then if they can say get to 21,
20, yeah,
it's
21.
still not still not even going to be it's not not crazy, not top half of the league, right? But it's a very significant improvement from last year. And that's again, that's all you want to see. You just want to see some progress. And who knows, maybe with that, having Drouin now, right? He was great on the power play. Bring a guy like him in to help with that. Who knows? Maybe you can even sneak into the top half of the league. So definitely, very intriguing to see how that'll play out over the year. And yeah, I mean, like you said, it's looked better so far. Definitely looking forward to see how what Ray Bennett can do with this group.
And you mentioned Barzell. I mean, injuries too play a factor in the power
Definitely.
play, and that goes to my optimism for this season. Everybody's, I think, I mean, on the outside media, I understand because they don't know the everyday operation of the Islanders. What happened to them last year? They still think they're just like oh, they're not that great. Well, they were missing a lot of their players last year too, along with the improvements that they made and the effort they made to get younger and faster. So those are factors that people are leaving out. Again, we don't think it's a guarantee they make the playoffs, but I really think they have a good shot with the special teams being better, like you just said, and Barzell is going to make the power play better by being on the ice, and everybody else who was hurt last year, him being the main one being out there. Duclair's going to be a big boost. He's been great this preseason, showing a lot of speed. He's had some really nice passes, but the speed is why they signed him, and we didn't see it last year because of the injury. The first few games, he looked great. So now it's been awesome to see him in good spirits, like we said. But not only that, after we talked about that for 2 months, but to see him on the ice in camp, in practice, and especially these preseason games, looking good, and not only just looking good, but making plays and putting up points, albeit not counting, but that's what you want to see. He's going to start on the fourth line, which is crazy. Sipakov too, so that's like a pretty offensively gifted fourth
Yeah.
line to start the year. But Duclair, a big boost, and all these guys that were injured that are back are going to become an even more important piece for this Islanders team this year.
Definitely, yeah. And again, going back to last year, Duclair, like again, preseason, but that line of Duclair, Horvat, Barzell, they were great in the preseason, right? And they were very good. I believe it was what the first 5 games. I think Duclair got hurt early in the fifth game or maybe the sixth game. Like they looked good. Like Duclair scored in that first game against Utah, and it's very promising. You have a guy in Duclair that can keep up with Barzell, and he was just so promising. I know I've been on the Duclair train for a while. I've been wanting him to be an Islander for 5 years now,
Well,
five and a half
Lou
years now.
wanted him bad.
Yeah. So it's obviously a very disappointing first year. Tore the groin fully off the bone and came back too early, rushed, wasn't himself, and then obviously took a leave of absence from the team after Patrick Wall's comments. That's all in the past. I feel like that was a little bit overblown too, but it is what it is.
I think they just wanted to make the emphasis that they cleared it up, but
Yeah,
that adds to Barzell now playing center, so he's not with Horvat, which we knew going in. We've known this for a while, but I feel like at some point he might get put back on wing, either for an injury on the wing or Cal Ritchie, because we just mentioned Cal Ritchie briefly. He was probably the star of this preseason for the Islanders. I mean, he was doing everything right, playing sound defensively, creating scoring chances, putting up points. Yeah, that like I said, that 2 point game in New Jersey, power play goal, which is his signature play that we saw him do in Oshawa tons of times, where he'd cut into the slot and just rip a shot and score. The pass to Heineman and in other games too, producing. So he's been doing it all over the ice. Great in the faceoff dot. He's going to be a center, and you don't want to put him on the fourth line. It was a tough decision, and I think the Islanders kind of got out of making that tough decision because he has the injury that he got hurt in that last game. He's already skating again on his own. So I think now with the injury, I think that's their excuse to we're going to send him down to the AHL for a little bit. But again, might not be the worst thing in the world. Get him some top 6 minutes down there. Let him develop a little bit, season a little bit. Not for too long because one injury he's up at center, which we're not rooting for that. But then, regardless, if the team's not playing well in the NHL, they're going to pull him up. And even if they are, and he's playing great down there, they're going to call him up. So he's knocking on the door, and I think they probably would have sent him down anyways, to the dismay of many, if they had to make the decision and there was no injury. But there's just no room for him. Like, again, like you look at the lineup to start the year, and Gatcombe and McLean are on the outside looking in, and that's what we expected to happen with the way with the roster right now. But still, those are two players that, Gatcombe just last year, McLean the last two, served a big role in that fourth line, and they're not getting in because of the situation that we have. So Richie, love this kid for the future. He's going to be a huge, huge piece down the middle for a long time. And I think the Pajot thing now, you keep him because you want Shabanov to play well with him and learn from him all the, to being a well-rounded hockey player. So there's nowhere for Richie to go. Frustrating, but you got to keep him at center, and he will have a big, big piece going forward. Hopefully sooner rather than later this year, but you got to think he'll be up at some point to make his Islanders debut.
Definitely, yeah. I know, everyone saw what happened with Bridgeport last year, right? They've obviously completely different coaching staff. Isaiah George said in the El Monter's exclusive interview, I saw that yesterday, how what happened, everyone knows what happened last year is just unacceptable with Bridgeport. So obviously, yeah, you bring in Rocky Thompson, you have seems to be a competent coaching staff now compared to last year.
Culture.
So yeah, definitely not the worst place for Richie to go now, it seems. Obviously, you'd like to see him in the NHL, but again, don't want to force him in there. Patrick Waugh was asked about throwing him on the wing. He said he could play on the wing, but they want to keep him at center because he's been so good there, and that's good. Again, that's what you want to see. You want to see a guy like him play strong in the preseason at center at his natural position, and that way, the second a forward gets hurt, Cal Ritchie is coming up, and then yeah, again, say it's a winger that gets hurt, right? Okay, you move Barzell back to the wing, you put Ritchie at center. And then, you go from there. Maybe you need to throw Richie on the wing for a shift or two, right? He has that versatility, and he's proven that he can play in the NHL at center. And again, yeah, that's what you want to see. You want to see him getting top 6 minutes in Bridgeport,
In
probably
meaningful
first
games,
minutes.
finally.
Yes,
Which
yes,
you said, better coaching staff, but they have goalies. The goalies weren't making saves for them last year. That's just the reality of it. The team struggled in its own right, but when you give up 3 goals and like 6 shots, what are you going to do? It stings. Now they have Hogberg down there, going to be a big help to make them more competitive. They've played some preseason games. They've looked good. They won a couple. They scored a bunch of goals, more than they have. So high expectations there. And Isaiah George going back, another tough decision for the Islanders. He was the last one to go down, but it's the same situation as the forward group. There's just nowhere for him to go. Great camp. Like I mentioned before, he can play left, he can play right now, he said. And whenever they need him, they'll have him. And I think just, again, him getting top pair minutes in Bridgeport is more beneficial than him sitting in the press box every night for the NHL club.
definitely. And yeah, like you said, great camp for Isaiah George. I know Patrick Waugh was talking about him. They wanted to keep him up. The team went. I think they went out to the Hamptons for like a team retreat over the weekend, and they didn't send George back to Bridgeport yet because they wanted him to be a part of it. So they expect him to be a big part of the team this year. You don't want to see injuries happen, but they're gonna happen. So it's at some point, obviously you hope it's minor, but then they're gonna happen. George is gonna come up. He's gonna be with the team. He's already comfortable with the team. Obviously, he got some time last year. It was like I believe it was like 35 games last year, and then he went on that weekend retreat with the team this year. So he's very comfortable with these guys. And yeah, you'd like to see him kind of have a breakout year. Obviously, he looked pretty good last year, and then as he went on, he started to look more like a rookie. I feel like as time went on, he started getting
Which
exposed
happens.
more. Yeah, yeah. Again, that's expected, right? It's a young defenseman. Like defensemen are going to take longer to develop. So he's already got some of that experience under his belt. Now this year, you want to see him come up and just build off of that, stick around longer. Yeah, it's very very exciting with him. And then yeah, obviously he'll be playing top pair in Bridgeport, probably first power play, first penalty kill. It's just getting those game reps, which is the most important thing for him.
And keep in mind that, it's a different time. It's not just injuries. If the team's out of it, we think they're going to be in the wild card race. And not that they're going to buy, but if the team is out of it, they might sell off players and have a spot for Richie, have a spot for George. It's not Lou Lamoriello anymore, where he was refusing to trade people. I think not everybody, but a lot of people will be on the table, a lot of vets to move if the team is out of it by the time the deadline is here. So they want to open up spots. Like you got to think Danny Nelson's coming after this year in college in Notre Dame. Cole Eiserman's probably going to come after this year of college, and maybe you want to get him some games at the end of the year potentially. I mean, if the team's out of it, I don't know how the whole ELC thing works, but you know, they're going to need to open spots up. So if the team's out of it, they're going to do that, and that's going to allow these guys to get that spot because there's just too many players right now. But again, that's far in advance. I think they're going to be in the playoff race, so I wouldn't expect that to happen. But that's again a possibility if things go awry. A few more things we want to touch on from camp: the goaltending situation. I'm nervous. I think it's going to be Sorokin getting ran into the ground again because David Riddick has scared me a little bit during this camp and some of the games he's played. Hasn't looked great, to be honest. I mean, Varlamov, we don't know what's going on with him still. Riddick beat out Hogberg, but then there were also some options out on the waiver wire that we thought maybe they'd take a flyer on, but nope, they're rolling with Big Save Dave.
Yeah, I know. I was kind of talking up Riddick in the last episode after the first game against Philly. Obviously, the goal he gave up wasn't great, but I thought he looked fine the rest of it. And then, yeah, in the games he played after that, he just did not look very good. It's unfortunate because again, he had that one year he was an All Star when he was in Calgary, right? I mean, that was I believe it was 2020, so 5 years ago now. Um, guys get older. It is what it is. Um, Hogberg, I thought, he started off pretty solid last year. And then yeah, he started to play more and more, and he didn't look great either. So it's just tough. You're so used to having a consistent backup. Semyon Varlamov was so good for so long, and I wouldn't even call him a backup. It was more like the 1A 1B with him and Sorokin. They can always switch off, right? Like you feel comfortable with either of them in net. And now and you've been doing that really since Halak and Grice. Like that's 10 years of having a very solid tandem.
We've been
And
blessed
now
in
it's
that way. It's
and that
it's a lot of teams have struggled with goaltending. Like look at the Oilers.
yeah.
You have this great team, but the goaltending lets you down every year. We've been blessed in that regard that it's just like, oh, Ilya tonight. Oh no, it's Semyon tonight. Oh, all right. Like it was just like sometimes they'd have a bad stretch, but you'd feel good about it no matter what. And now Dave, like the all you need 25 games out of him where you could say, all right, Dave's playing, we feel good. Like, it's not gonna be like, oh no, we have to put him in. Like, you don't want it to be in a situation where like you feel like you can't win a game with him because then you're gonna run Ilya to the ground again. He's gonna get injured, and it's not gonna be well. Because when he plays, then he's not gonna be the same. Because I think he's gonna have a great year and he's gonna bounce back, but he can't do that if he's playing every single game. Like when you have a back to back, because there are a lot of those in the NHL schedule, especially this year because the Olympics are this year. There's a 2 year break, a 2 week break, excuse me. So you got to have a reliable backup to play on that second day. And if you can't just be giving away points.
Definitely. Yeah, it's almost like the that year we had it was Chad Johnson to start was the backup and then made the deadline trade for Michael Neuwirth, right? Like you didn't really feel super comfortable with either of them. I mean, obviously Halak was great that year, but yeah, it's the same. It's really the first time in 10 years, 11 years where you don't have a guy that you can throw in when your starters, I mean, in this case, it's Sorokin, where he's not, he needs a break or, banged up a little bit. You just want to give him the day off, let him recover. You don't have a guy that you can throw in that you're fully comfortable with. So I hope Riddick. I'm sure you feel the same way. I hope that Riddick can prove us wrong once the regular season actually starts up, and he kind of, like you said, just 25 games. Just doesn't need to be great. Doesn't need to be star. Just be playable. At least be solid.
If
You're not
Riddick
gonna.
could give up 3 goals a game, I'll like sign me up for that. It can't be the bad ones that like suck the life out of the team. Again, I'm just nervous for what's gonna happen. Like I didn't love what I saw in the preseason, but it's gonna be like a show me type of thing. I'm not going in like doom, like oh no, we have David Riddick. Like it's gonna be a disaster. But I want to see it happen first
Yeah,
before
you're
I
not.
start really freaking out. But it's just
Yeah,
concern, really more so, like because we don't know what we're gonna get when you put him in the first time he plays.
yeah. It seems like what 3 straight years now. It's been Sorokin running the show. It seems like he's always been overworked. Obviously, that 22-23 season, he was a Vezina finalist, right? He was great, but he played so much that year. And then you go
Willed the
into
team to the playoffs on his own.
sorry. Then you go into the next year, right? And he's overworked. And then that was, yeah, like 23-24 towards the end of the year. you have Varlamov playing a lot of the games because Sorokin has been playing so much. He's been so overworked. And then obviously last season is the same thing again. Varlamov gets hurt right after Thanksgiving. It's Sorokin playing pretty much every game.
And
And
Ilya
then
had
yeah, like
surgery going into that year too. So then he,
yes,
you know, didn't have
yep,
the full summer to train, and now this year he did. So I think that's going to be big for his game also. We just need to be able to have that reliable backup. But again, things could change throughout the year. Maybe somebody gets picked up. If you never really know what's going to happen, they take a flyer on somebody. But ideally, David Riddick holds down the fort for this year, and then they get another year closer to having that situation fully rectified with a long-term backup solution. Because you can't plug and place as your backup every year. You see some teams try to do it, and it just doesn't work. So moving along, we talked about a lot of guys so far, but I think there's been some concern on Twitter for Ryan Pulock's game. Personally, I just think he is what he is at this point. I think that he's not what he was in the prime days of the PNP 5 years ago. We all know that, but I don't think he's that bad where it's like complete freak out. I think he's just like he just kind of like sits back and does his thing. Like he's just in the way. I think that the overreaction that's an overreaction on that front.
yeah. Like last year, obviously he didn't have the greatest year. I'm a big Ryan Pulock fan. Obviously, yeah, like in 2020, 2021, right? Like when like you said, the prime PMP, him and Pellick were unbelievable together. And there has been a decline in Pulock's game. Again, he's getting older, right? So it's not fully just out of nowhere. But he really hasn't. I don't feel like like you said, I don't feel like he's been as bad as some people will say. Same
He
for
looked
last year,
quicker
honestly.
to
Like
me this year. I don't, like in
yeah,
the preseason. He
this
looked like he was
preseason,
more agile, I feel like.
yeah,
But you know
and
what it
like
is with him? It's the same thing that has plagued Anders Lee for the last few years. Until last year, obviously. He had a great season last year. It's that the production is fine, and same for JG Pajot too. He's the big one with this. The production is fine, but it doesn't get looked at to be as much of a success, and you're not playing as well as you are because of the contract attached to your name. Anders Lee 7x7. Oh, you need to be doing more. Like the stats, fine. No, they could have been better, but they were good. But it seemed like it was horrible because he has a 7-year contract with $7 million on the cap, which now that's nothing with the new salary cap. JG Pajot, 6-year contract, 5 million per. Everyone's like, oh, 5 million so much. He has really good stats. Again, probably not for what a $5 million player equaled the last few years. Now it does, but again, the little things that Pajot does. He wins faceoffs. He's a good guy to play with. Short, kills penalties, defensively strong, and he scores some big goals here and there. Now Ryan Pulock has that situation. I think the thing that scares people more is the term because there's still a few more years left. But what is it, 6.5?
yeah, I think it's just under six and a
So all
half.
right, it's a little high, but with the cap continuing to go up, which is now the excuse for everything, but it's true. It's gonna hurt you less and less, and then the closer you get to the end, you can try and find ways out of it. So I think that's what's against Pollock is the contract, where the play is, yeah, there's been some bad moments, but I think overall it's just fine. He's a serviceable player for you.
Like 2020, I still think he was our best defenseman. Like 2019, 2020, I think he was our number one guy. Now he's probably slipped down to, probably four. Again, we'll see how Schaefer does this year and like overtakes him. But he's just a solid like if we're looking at him as the number four defenseman, he's just a solid number four. He's not putting up crazy offensive numbers. He really never has put up crazy offensive numbers. His offensive game never really developed like we had hoped when he was drafted back in 2013. Yeah, you know what you're getting with him. I'm definitely hoping for him to have a better year than last year. But yeah, I agree that I don't think the criticism he's getting is fully warranted. I think it's a little overdone.
Definitely agree on that front. And let's wrap up with Matt Barzell. I think we've covered mostly everybody. I think, there's others where, you know, we haven't really talked about here, but it's just more of the same. Like Bo Horvat, we know we're getting out of him. We talked about Drouin the last episode. He's kind of been the same the entire preseason. Know what you're going to get out of him. Again, only 2-year contract, so you know what he is as well. Like you're hoping you get a decent amount of points out of him, and you go from there. Who else do we not cover? We just brought up Lee. We think he's in a good spot in the last year of his contract, so we'll see what they do with him. I think he's going to probably end up re-signing for a cheaper deal. Paul Mary, he's going to score a bunch of goals. He's got the beard back. We know that. Holmstrom we didn't talk about. I think we did on the last episode though. We're expecting a big year from him to continue to make that jump and get up to the 50 over 50 points, which we said he had 50 last year. I think we said he had
I think he had 45. I want to say it was
45.
like
Yeah, so
20
we think he's
goals,
going to get to
25
50
assists.
this year. We're expecting, especially that line to start, which is really nice to see. And then Cizikas, the other forward, he's on the fourth line between Duclair and Siplikov, who we said Siplikov we think is going to continue to keep growing as well after, kind of looking better, more comfortable this year after the growing pains of adjusting to the NHL last year. So, I mean, that's all the forwards, just to run through them all because we went more in depth on some of them. But Matt Barzal, we want to talk about. He looks good. He really does. Again, preseason, but the speed is the same. And we talked about this last episode. You never know what you're going to get coming back from injury. You can't expect him to be the same Matt Barzal, but he's looked the part so far.
Yeah, he definitely looks like himself. Like you said, the speed is good. The hands are the same, right? Like he's everyone was freaking out when he with that one quote about how he said, "Oh, you never know if you're gonna be 100%." Like he looks good. He looks like the Matt Barzal that we've watched for the last, well, I guess 8 years now. What is this? Is this his ninth season now? That's crazy. That's crazy to think about. But yeah, like he looks like himself. Um, doesn't look like the injury is really a long-term concern. Who knows if he re-aggravates it, obviously. Knock on wood, hope that doesn't come up, hope that doesn't come into play. But yeah, just based on what we've seen this preseason, like there's nothing to be concerned about with him. He looks like himself. He's driving play like he always does, making nice passes, just moving the puck around the offensive zone like he's back. And like I know we've talked about it pretty much every episode, right? If this team is gonna roll, he is gonna be a huge part of that. Elliot Friedman put out his very hot take about Barzal getting 100 points.
He must have listened to our show.
Yeah,
We didn't
maybe.
say 100, but I think I said point per game to 90, right?
Yep. Yeah, it's like I'm not expecting 100 points out of Matt Barzal, but hey, if everything goes right, then again, I'm not gonna say I expect it if everything goes right, but it's not completely impossible, and because that's just how good he is. Like we've seen him with all these different line mates over the years, right? And who knows, maybe Lee and Barzal aren't gonna be, or Lee and Palmieri are not gonna be the best line mates he's ever had, right? But who knows? Maybe being on the second line, like his rookie year, right? Like obviously that's very, very different
And
circumstances
that's the
with
last time he played without the, trots, loose, structured defense first
yeah,
mentality. And
exactly. And he was
Waz going to change up the lines, which I think I've mentioned twice today already. But it's like every game, it's like a blender, like what's
yeah,
going on. So he's going to play with Shabanov. He's going to play with maybe he'll take a shift with Horvat at some point on the wing, like not full time, but let's put you
definitely
two out
expect
there.
that
Maybe with
later in
Drouin,
games.
like it's going to be all over the place.
Yeah, and yeah, like if he's the second line center for the majority of the year, again, his rookie year, he put up 80. He played every game. He put up 85 points. Very different system. Obviously, that was Doug Wade hockey. We're not gonna talk about Doug Wade hockey, but there's parallels to between the two seasons, right?
Right, and
And
being the
again,
second line center, like you just said, he's not getting all the scrutiny that there's other lines that other teams have to worry about.
exactly.
So you can't just put all your eggs in one basket. But no, we're excited for Barzal. He's going to boost the power play, and hopefully get to that point per game plus number. And maybe we'll be in a meaningful game by the end of the year where we get a Elliot Friedman abbreviation because I don't think we've gotten one yet.
No, I know the that video went up yesterday about him trying to guess
Yeah, that was great.
all the
That was great.
abbreviations. There's the one he thought it was the Islanders. No, it was Nashville. I think you're right. I don't think the Islanders have gotten a
Since he
Friedman
started fooling around on there.
trademark abbreviation. So who knows? Maybe it'll be like who knows NSLE. I don't know.
Well,
We'll have to see.
I think that's it for camp. Aside from prospects who they had early on that they sent back, they're all doing really well. Kashawn Aitchison was the OHL Player of the Week. He had two-goal games, I think, already, like early on. So he's looked really good. Hoping to see him develop more defensively. Tomasz Politin has been awesome too in the WHL, scoring a bunch of goals, looking good. Great shot up there. Jacob Kvashnicka, WHL Rookie of the Week. So he's also he was a later round pick this year, having some success. And Cole Eiserman finding the back of the net early. It was at the first goal of BU's season on
I
a
believe so against
rocket
LIV.
one timer. So
Yeah, it
that
was
was
got it off so quick.
Exciting. So waiting for the Richie to Yzerman power play connection next year will be a lot of fun for all of us. So the prospects doing well after some of them obviously were here for camp. The college kids not so much, but um, all good things that are happening around the world for the Islanders, not just the current team as we move to the future. But the lines for the current roster, as we ran through them before, as expected for the first game. By the time we record in 2 weeks for our next episode, we're gonna kind of obviously go through all the games and talk about storylines surrounding the games once the season really starts. But for now, it's Drouin, Horvat, and Heineman, Lee, Barzell, and Palmieri, Shabanov, Peugeot, and Holmstrom, and then Duclair, Cizikas, and Siplikov. So a lot different than we saw coming in to start camp, but again, you got to think by this time next week it'll be different too. That's just how Patrick Waugh rolls. I don't know. We can agree with it, not agree with it, but I think this is a team where you experiment and see what works. Like usually you don't want to change it too much, but this team is the expectations is to compete for the playoffs. It's not like there's a mandate like you have to make it. We don't know if they're going to be a good team or a bad team. There's really no way to tell. So I think this is going to be a big experimental year, and you might as well shake it up.
Definitely, yeah. It's a transitional year. Obviously, you got Schaefer coming in and playing his first NHL season, right? And like you said, you really don't know what you're getting with this group. It's different than last year. You got Barzal back at center, right? You bring in Emil Heineman, you bring in Max Shabanov. Like it's one of the deeper lineups I'd say that we've had over the last couple of years. Again, you got Mark Gatcomb and Kyle McLean in the press box. Like those are two solid players. And I think this year is going to be a good year for the players because like there's no pressure. I feel like obviously you want to make the playoffs, right? The goal is to make the playoffs. The goal is to win the cup every year. But like it's like you said, it's not like there's super hard, like super high pressure. You have like this group has to make the playoffs, right? You're not getting that with this team. It's a transitional year. You really don't know what you're going to get. So I feel like that's gonna translate to the players. They're gonna kind of be obviously they're still gonna go all out, right? Stick to the systems and everything. They're gonna play looser. Like they're not gonna be gripping their sticks as tight as maybe another team would be. And yeah, I know we've said it on this show many times. Like we think they're gonna be in the mix for a wild card spot. While a lot of the league seems like whether it's how other teams view them or just the media, fans, whatever. No one really. Everyone's already kind of counted this group out.
And
And I
that's
think this,
and that's the way we like it because when do
yes,
the Islanders have the most success? When nobody thinks they're going to win. Even though I have seen a lot of Islander fans too not thinking the team will be very good this year, which has surprised me. I mean,
looks a
obviously we
lot
both
like
spend a lot
the
of time on Twitter. If you can't tell by listening to this podcast, a lot of people they're not even trying to be pessimistic. They just don't think the team is going to be that great this year. And I just listen. I try to be optimistic because I think if you're supporting the team, what's the point in oh it's not going to be good. Like the way it's positioned, we both mentioned, with the players coming back from injury if they stay healthy, and with the better special teams and the boost of Schaefer, this team can be a playoff team. So we're rooting for that to happen. But again, if not, then I won't be surprised either way. Like we both said, it's only 8 teams get in. There's probably like 12 teams that deserve to be in. So it's really tough, but should be a lot of fun as we move forward. Lines are deep, the deepest, like you said, we've had, I think, in a while. The best I felt about the offensive lines in a while. 4 lines of depth, no star power, but solid, and yeah, all good things there. But the
looking a
defense,
lot like the 2018-19 season, I feel like coming
right?
into it. I'm not expecting them to put up what was it, 103 points, 105 points from that year.
Oh,
Definitely not
definitely not.
expecting that, but who
Their
knows?
over unders 83.5. I think that they'll reach that number. I think they'll get the over on that. Maybe not by much,
But
but I
yeah,
think they'll
I
get
think I
there.
think the over is a safe play there, barring any like extreme injuries like last year.
All right, the D is going to be the same as it was going into camp. There were no changes there. That's going to be Romanov and D'Angelo, Pellick and Pollock, and Schaefer and Mayfield with Adam Boquist as the seventh, and then the goalies, obviously, Sorokin and David Riddick. So, some other news that came out actually the day after we recorded the last episode, so not great. But the Islanders are bringing back their radio broadcast. Alan Furing will be the new radio voice of the Islanders. He'll be filling in for when Brendan Burke's out on TV, so then they'll just do a simulcast. And then Cal Clutterbuck and Josh Bailey are going to help out sometimes. So a lot of people push back on the Islanders removing radio, so good thing for them to bring it back. and super happy for Alan. He's been awesome for me. Every time I go to Bridgeport and cover the team there, get interviews, he would always help me out. So he's a super great guy. So super pumped for him to be getting the call up to the NHL full time. So he's done a great job. So we're looking forward to hearing his calls as we move into the new era, as we keep saying, of Islanders hockey. He's a big part of that.
Definitely. And then just another thing off of that, I know the same day it was announced that the Cal Clutterbuck and Josh Bailey are going to be doing almost like a Manning cast style broadcast during certain nationally televised games. I don't know how they're picking those games. I don't know if it's like the ESPN Plus games, like TN. I doubt it's going to be for TNT because I'm sure they're going to want the exclusive rights to that. Haven't really gotten any details on that, how that's going to play out, but I think that's going to be a lot of fun. Definitely looking forward to that. I'm a big Josh Bailey fan. I know we've had our
We've had our
disagreements on Josh
battles.
Bailey.
I listen. I'll say this because we're not getting into this now. The Josh Bailey thing that would always tick me off is that people said he should have his number retired. I think that it's a ridiculous thing to retire a player's number just for longevity. Where he was good, he was solid, solid player, but you don't get your number retired for being a solid player. You get your number retired for being a legend and winning Stanley Cups. So, um, and I feel that way about a lot of players. And by that logic, then you have to retire Brock Nelson's number, Anders Lee's number, Matt Martin's number. You can't justify that. So it's all the same. So how I feel about Josh Bailey, he should be put in the Islanders Hall of Fame, the Ring of Honor, whatever they call it now. And I think that's a perfect way to honor his good career and long career with the Islanders. And I think they're putting more emphasis on that, and that's where it should be. I don't know if you have a counter to that or if you agree with me.
I'll leave it at that. But yes, definitely looking forward to seeing him and Clutterbuck on these broadcasts. I know he filled in. He did color commentary with Alan Fearing for one of the preseason games.
That will be a lot of fun.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to seeing that. They also announced that Clutterbuck was starting like a podcast through the team where he's going to bring on some of his former teammates. I'm sure there's going to be current players on there, some alumni. Again, really haven't gotten any details since the initial announcement.
Which I never picked him out to be a media guy because he always seemed kind of
No.
quiet. I mean, they talk about him being a great personality and like being a funny guy. They even said that on Chicklets when he went on there. So I think it's just because he was like timid when he first came on, like Thomas Hickey too. Like great
Yeah.
information, but very timid. But Clutterbuck seems to be like getting more like after you do broadcasting a little more, you get it. Like he's more comfortable. He's louder. He's more like outgoing with it. So I think he's a great fit. Bailey, I I feel the same though. I feel like he was a quiet guy when he played. Like I feel like I wouldn't hear him talk much then. But again,
Yeah, I
maybe he's
agree.
different. We don't know the guy personally, so
Right.
I'm sure like great insight. But maybe it'll take a while, unless I'm wrong and he sounds like he's a pro right off the bat. But regardless, it should be a lot of fun.
I didn't pick Bailey as the guy from those teams to go into step into the color commentary or
Right, I'm not
whatever.
even trying to diss him. I'm just
Yeah,
saying,
no,
like,
like
it's
I
a
didn't really
weird fit for me. He was a
I
very
didn't think he
quiet
would be the
guy,
one.
but
But
the
yes,
fans love him. Well,
yeah.
most fans.
I was like Johnny Boychuk is a guy you see there and you think
Right.
he would do that, right? I would not have picked out Bailey, but again, as a big Josh Bailey fan, it's going to be very cool to see
He's the
that.
strong, silent type, you could
Yeah,
say.
that's fair. That's a fair assessment. So
Our
yeah, definitely
last
looking
bit of
forward to that.
news. This came out today. Well, actually, no. You have another one that Pat LaFontaine going into the Islanders Hall of Fame. Long overdue.
Yes.
Long overdue. So
Yeah, obviously in the Hall of Fame, sometime in the early 2000s, he was inducted into the Hockey Hall of Fame. There was some contract disputes right towards the end of his Islander tenure, and there was some controversy there, right?
I
But
think it was
I
with Neil
know,
Smith too, right? He was involved, and then there was some bad blood with him and Wong. But the Islanders and him, over time mended their dispute, and now it happens. Which I think that would mean they're all caught up, right? Because I know they did Sutter last year, and when they announced the Ring of Honor, like you're right, all right, like LaFontaine's coming, and I think that means they're all caught up on people and players that need to be in that. Unless you think there's somebody else, but I think that that's the last one.
I'm pretty sure Bob Bourne is in there, I believe.
Yeah, he is. He is.
Okay, yeah.
So
So
I think
yeah,
they're all caught up for now, and then there'll be a little gap, and then I think obviously the next one will be like Brock Nelson when he retires eventually, but still have time for that. So I think, yeah, out of all the past players, that's the last one they needed to do.
definitely, yeah. Is Turgeon in? He's got to be, right?
I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe I don't know. I don't because yeah, it seems like they kind of just forgot about it for so long, and then before putting Sutter in last year, you would
Yeah, I mean,
imagine that Turgeon's in, but
old ownership wasn't really big on. I mean, they did some, and then there was like a large gap. I think because that's when Wong sold the team, and then the Brooklyn situation, and then the arena situation. They had the Coliseum, but they were kind of like, you know, figuring it out. Now that UBS is settled, they got the Ring of Honor in there, which looks great. They finally got it figured out again, so that's great. But no, the last bit of news that I was going to get to before you brought that up, which is a good thing to bring up. They have a new jersey ad patch for the chest, and let's just say nobody's really happy about it. It's Vanda Pharmaceuticals. So Big Pharma is on the Islander jersey, and really the big problem for me is the little pitch of green in there that doesn't match at all. Because the Solo Stove logo, not only was it cool, it matched perfectly. It was orange and white. So it's like, all right, if you have to have a jersey ad, we'll make it that one. Because again, like I'm not anti-jersey ad. I mean, I am, but like I get it that that's the way it's going. So you have to have one now. So I understand it in that regard, but it's just when it doesn't match, it's frustrating. It's only a little pitch of green, but you could see it.
yeah, it's noticeable. I'm trying to think who. I think it was Vancouver. I feel like on the black jerseys they had
TD Bank.
was it yeah, it was TD, right? It was just like that big square, and it just looked so out of place.
I think the
Yeah,
Flyers had IBX and it was blue, and then
yeah,
they switched it to white. But like,
right. They switched it
I don't
over,
think this
so
is a thing that you can change because it's like their logo. So
right, yeah. So I mean, yeah, I get why. Like, I'm in the same boat as you. I think with the ads, it's like I don't like them, but I understand why. And like, if they're small, then like, sure, like I don't like it. I don't want my jerseys having ads on them, but it is what it is. I'm not one of the people who's like, oh, it's going to turn into European jerseys or there's ads everywhere. Like, no, it's not going to get to that point.
they wouldn't let it get
But
to that point.
yeah, it's just I agree. Solo stove, like you said, if you had to have one, sure, go with that one where it matches the jersey.
Yeah,
You know,
multi-year
you got a
deal.
flame on
So
there.
I
It's
think
not
it's
the worst
three and then a
logo.
2-year option at the end. So we probably will see 5 years of Vanda Pharmaceuticals on the Islander jersey. But listen, they lift the Stanley Cup with Vanda Pharmaceutical on the jersey. I don't really care that much about it. So
Yeah.
whatever they
If
got to do. But
that's the case, I'll be the biggest supporter of the company.
yeah,
That's what gets
buy a
away with it.
share.
Yeah.
Well, that's gonna do it for On Isles Time. 10 episodes already, all in the off season, but finally real hockey. We've been needing it. It's been a lot of fun in the off season, a lot of the speculation, but to get to the actual season is what we've wanted. So yeah, a great episode to talk about everything that's been going on, and then it's time for analysis. Once we get in, be recapping every game, talking about which players are playing well, not playing well, and it'll be more how we like it. Hockey season, busy, couple games a week, so it should be a lot of fun. But we're probably going to keep it the bi-weekly schedule, so we can kind of cover 2 weeks at a time in those chunks. But that will do it for this episode. Make sure to follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and X for more content at On Isles Time. We're going to be putting more out, more original content with clips from the show, so extra stuff, bonus content there. For On Isles Time, episode number 10, thank you so much for tuning in.